I'd like to talk about how we are going to color in our bugs. So once you've drawn your bug on your final paper, it'll be kind of hard to see because it's pencil on top of a black paper, but we don't want to see the pencil in the end anyways. So you can barely see where my bug is, but you'll see it more as I start to add color. I've done one area of my bug. I've got my highlight, my main color, and then my shadow along the edges. When you're doing your bug, it'll work best to treat each area individually. So I did one section of my grasshopper. I'm going to do this leg or wing sort of section next. I think I'm going to keep it green. So I'll show you what it will look like with my green. I've got my kind of lighter green, my a little bit darker green, but it's not too dark. I've got my white, and I'll probably use a little bit of black. So I'm going to start with one of my main green colors. Now I have to plan ahead about where my highlight's going to go because I can't put white over green. So I'm going to decide my highlight's going to be right in the middle there. So I've outlined it with my green. Then I'm going to go ahead and fill the rest of that shape in with my green pastel. Now thinking back to that worksheet we did, remember the way we color it in should follow the shape of the space we're coloring. So I'm coloring in kind of an oval shape. So my lines are curving like an oval. Now my leg of my grasshopper goes in front of this, so I can't color on that because I don't know if that'll be a different color, and it might look a little different than this. So I'm going to try to leave that open, but I'm going to color this part that you can see behind. So I'm filling it in with that green. I'm going to add some of my white. Now I've left this spot open for my white, so I'm going to fill that spot in. Because we're using black paper, you'll be able to see that white a lot more. But I'm not only going to fill it in and then let there be a harsh line. Because right now it goes white, green, but there's no transition. We want to see a transition in our value. So it should gradually go from light to dark or dark to light. So I'm going to take my white and I'm going to start going over where my green is. So hopefully some of that green will start to get lighter. If I have a lot of green in my pastel, I can wipe it off, or I could even rub my pastel in an open spot in my paper because we're going to cut our bugs out in the end. So the rest of the paper is kind of scratch area. Again, I'm going to go over some of my green with my white pastel. I can also use my fingers to blend that white pastel in with the green. I'm blending in the direction of my shape. Now that's a lot of highlight. I don't know if I want that much to be white. So I'm going to go back to my green and I'm going to layer over. So I'm going to start covering up some of my white with my green. Now it won't go back to that regular green. It's going to be lighter now because they blend with the colors underneath them. Use my finger to again blend those more. And I'm going to start introducing some of my little bit darker green. I'm going to go all to the edges, maybe a little bit over that middle. The more of the oil pastel you put on your paper, the more there is to smudge around. So if you start to blend and you notice that it's almost as if the color is being pushed off of your paper, then you want to add some more of that oil pastel. That'll give you more to smudge and blend. Okay, so I've got my highlight. I've got it transitioning to a lighter green and then a regular green. So I'm going to add a little bit of a shadow. Now remember, the black goes a long ways. You could do a brown or just find a really dark green. I'm going to do just a little bit of black all along that edge. And then I'm going to use my finger to smudge that black into kind of where the green is. Now another thing I could do is I could decide, well, this is kind of the bottom of the bug. So maybe I'm going to do a little more black down here because I want that to be more in shadow. And then I can smudge and make that decision too. So your highlight doesn't have to be in the middle. You can decide what part of your bug is going to be darker or lighter, and then smudge and blend your colors accordingly. So I'm deciding this is going to be a little bit more of a shadow, and I'm blending. Now if this black is too harsh, well, I can't make it go away completely, but I can go over on top of it with some of my green, and that'll at least dull it down and make it more of a green. So the pastels themselves actually act a little bit as a blending tool along with your fingers too. But remember, then the color might get on top of your pastel. You might need to rub some of that off if it's getting to be the wrong type of color. All right, so just to review, you'll want to address your bug in sections. So find a shape and start to color that shape in as a whole. Now, for example, if you have a bug like mine where the body is divided by something else, so I'll show you kind of here, there's the same part of the bug. That's all one body, one shape. So when I do that one, I won't want to treat them separately because they're the same shape. They're just covered up by this shape. So if, just to kind of show you, I might choose my highlight to be kind of like that. Or maybe if that's the body, maybe I want my highlight even more towards the top. So you'll have to decide where that type of thing is going to go on your bug and work on each area as its own area, going from light, gradually transitioning to dark. That will help to show form.